don't buy a whole lot of clothes, but you
Mm.
know, I just try to make stuff work with the sneaker
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
put stuff together based off of what I have because I
yeah.
don't throw stuff away. You know,
Right.
I still got clothes from high school, man.
I love it. Look, I wish I could still fit stuff from high school. That'd be a blessing.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of What Are Those, the show that explores the art of sneaker culture. I'm your host, Adam Butler, back with another episode. Thank you so kindly for being here. Gabriel Fortson is on the show today, man. The host of the State Specific Show, Unbox ambassador, real cool sneakerhead, somebody I've been wanting to get on this show for a while. We're going to get into that interview in a moment. Stay tuned. Before that, thank you so much for subscribing to the show. Please, if you haven't subscribed, though, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. That helps out a lot. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Comment on the videos. That helps with the algorithm. It gets the algorithm going and all of that good stuff. You know what I mean? People get to see the show, all of that stuff, man. Thank you so much for all the support if you've already done it. If you haven't, go ahead and subscribe. And hey, thank you for watching anyway. All right. My man Gabriel was on the show, man. Dude, just a great dude to talk to, okay? And you're gonna hear me say this in the interview, but I'll say it really quickly before we get started. He's one of those people that really, I think, really represents what sneaker culture should be, what hip hop culture should be, what culture should be, just in general. You know, he's just enjoying it, and he's trying to showcase people that are genuine within it. That's what I try to do with this show, right? I try to introduce you all to people that are just genuinely happy and just love being part of this thing we call sneaker culture that a lot of you may not even understand, and it sounds super weird too. I want to bring you, introduce you to people that that's been in it in a while, that's doing really interesting things within it, right? Different things within it, and just let you hear good conversation, right? And that's what this interview is. Gabriel's just good conversation. He's a good dude. You're gonna love his story. It's an interesting story, so we're gonna jump right into it, man. Let's get to it. Gabriel, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, my brother? How you doing?
I am good, man. I'm happy to finally have you on the show, bruh.
Bruh, it's an honor, man. It's an honor. I appreciate you.
It's an honor to have you, man. Listen, man, I appreciate you as well. It's been a while. I think I hollered at you last season to try to get you on before my
Yeah.
daughter was born, and it's been a while, but I'm just so happy. I'm a big fan of all the stuff you do. You pop up on my timeline all the time, man. I see the State Specific Show. I see your fits, all that. You are a true sneakerhead, my brother.
Hey, appreciate you, man. I just try to do my best, man. Try to do my best.
No problem, man. So let's talk about. Let's get down to the beginning, man. Like, what got you into sneakers? Why are you a sneakerhead?
So for me, man, so I was born at a time to where these sneakers that everybody lauded and they're like, hey, these are grails and these are goats,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I shouldn't say the word goats. Like the goat is the person who created the shoe or the shoe that it's
Right.
named after. But
Yeah.
I remember when those shoes first came out.
Mm.
So I was young, but I still
Mhm.
remember it, right?
Yeah.
So my parents couldn't afford a Jordan. They couldn't
Yeah.
afford a Jordan 1 when the Jordan 1 Chicago dropped.
Yes,
They
sir.
couldn't afford
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
even in my little size at the time. So what happened was is that I wanted that shoe because in my hometown, only rich people
Mm.
or some middle class folks or the folks that were kind of doing
Yeah.
their
Do their
street
thing.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Only those people really was wearing the Jordans when they first dropped, man, because
Mhm.
$65 back then,
Yeah.
that was like 2 weeks worth of groceries.
Yeah. Wow.
So my parents at some point they kind of scrounged up some money and I got the AJKOs, the Chicago
Mm.
colorway,
Yeah.
right? So those shoes for me were like everything
Yeah.
because they had said no to the standard regular Jordans. They had
Yeah.
said no, 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 can't do
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden they came up with the bread to be able to like buy those AJKOs.
Mhm.
And at the time I didn't know that meant knockoff, but um, but for me that was like everything. So for me
Yeah.
that's really when it got injected into my veins as far as the sneakers.
Yeah.
Um, so there were always trendy folks in my school, and
Mm.
I couldn't be the trendy person, but I was paying
Right.
attention. I was
Right.
paying attention to the trends that were coming out of New York that a lot of folks that had cousins that would come down during the summer that would bring.
Yeah.
And then also, the folks that were coming from Atlanta. I grew up like 2 hours northeast of Atlanta, so I
Okay.
wasn't in the city growing up.
Yeah.
Um, so when those people came to my little hometown to visit their grandparents during the summer and stuff like that, we
Mm-hmm.
were peeping the style. And then the folks that were the trendsetters per se in my hometown, they were wearing those things to school during the next school
Yeah.
year. So I'm paying attention. I'm looking at the 5111 Reeboks. I'm looking at the Air Force Ones.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Mikes. I'm looking at the back then there were British Knights. There
Yes,
were
sir.
like
Yeah.
all these shoes, man, that
Yeah.
people were wearing. They were wearing the Jordache, the
Yeah.
jeans. So there was the girls in the school that took two polos. They would put one
Mm-hmm.
polo on top of the other one and pop
Mm-hmm.
both collars up.
Like that
You
collar.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the trends and the styles and that kind of stuff, like I always paid attention to, but
Mm-hmm.
couldn't necessarily participate because of the economic piece. And
Yeah.
then, also back then, people were getting jumped, for the
Yeah.
mics,
Yeah.
So at that time, my parents were like, even if we can afford it, you're not getting them because we're not putting you out there,
Right.
thinking that you might not come home because somebody tried to take your sneakers.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
for a long time, so it was the the AJKO
Mm-hmm.
Chicago's. And then the next time I bought a pair of Jordans was the Jordan 10 Steel with the toe cap.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I was old enough to make that decision. And I had kind of looked at some Jordans like in
Yeah.
between, but the whole
Yeah.
thing about society, how people were still going a little bit overboard, going crazy
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
in the streets. And then the silhouettes were not attractive to me when you got to like
Mm.
the sevens and the eights
Yeah.
and the nines,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when they got to that steel 10, it was basic.
Mm-hmm.
Back then I was wearing khakis
Yeah.
and t-shirts, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
that steel 10, like it was perfect. So I got
Yeah.
that shoe, man, and I rocked it until it fell apart.
Mm.
And then I went on after that, not really even thinking about sneakers so much because I was buying stuff off the sales rack. If it wasn't 50 to
Yeah.
60% off,
Yeah.
I wasn't really
Yeah.
even paying attention to like clothes or shoes at that point.
Yeah. You go through those little spots, man. I had a little time like that too, where like I wanted the sneakers and I wanted things, but the bread just wasn't there. You know what I mean? So I had to
Yeah,
kind of, I had to like kind of take a little break from being like a true sneakerhead. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't really cop the stuff I wanted to get. You know what I mean? So I definitely know what you're saying.
right, yeah. And like in middle school, I
Mm-hmm.
was playing basketball,
Yeah.
and the shoes that we wore,
Mm-hmm.
the name would come to me at some point. But I was paying attention to sneakers from that standpoint, from a functional
Yeah.
standpoint.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I had a pair to hoop in, didn't wear them anywhere else, just wore them to the games, didn't wear to practice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I
Mm-hmm.
had pairs that I could just rock out at school and stuff like that. But they were all basic stuff.
Yeah.
But when I kind of got through the graduate college, get married, have kids,
Yeah.
and your money's being funneled to some different stuff at that point, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So around maybe like 2015,
Mm-hmm.
I started kind of looking again. I
Yeah.
would kind of know what was out there a little bit, but I wasn't like entrenched in it. It wasn't something that I was kind of studying or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
I would kind of see what people were rocking, wherever I was at the gym or something like that. But around
Yeah.
2015, I was on like Flight Club or
Yeah.
Stadium Gears or something like that. I was like, let me go back and like reach back and get a pair that
Yeah.
I never had.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then that bust me over the head, and I was like, man, I'm not used to paying $200, $300, $400 for a pair of
Yeah.
sneakers.
Yeah.
So the next year, I think I went back and bought another pair, and then
Mm-hmm.
I was tracking something, and then the price dropped, so I grabbed it. So the snowball had been pushed downhill.
Yep. If I say that addiction is
Yeah.
down starting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
around like 2018, that's when I really kind
Mm-hmm.
of jumped back into
Mm-hmm.
collecting per se,
Yeah.
or jumped into collecting really for the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah.
Um, and I really started paying attention, studying it, watching the YouTubers and stuff like that,
Mhm.
kind of knowing where the trends were,
Yeah.
and it just hadn't stopped. It became more like an addiction,
Yeah.
from
Yep.
that point. Yeah,
That's how that goes, brother. Like I understand. That's what I was saying. I had a little time there where I had to kind of chill out. I didn't have a job that was going to be bringing me the money to be spending on sneakers like that. But the
yeah,
moment I was able to do it again, it just like avalanche, right? And it's because that nostalgia piece, like you talked about, you're able to kind of get those things that oh man, I remember that when I was younger, or I couldn't get that when I was young. And you hear that. That's a lot of people's stories in
yep,
sneaker culture. You know what I mean? That I'm able to get that. I'm able to do these things because I'm financially well now. I'm doing better now. Whatever the reason may be.
yep,
And it's fun. You know what I mean? Like it's fun being able to like hunt that stuff down and make trades and do all of this stuff. It's really really fun, man. But what I find fascinating about you, bro, is that you're not just a sneakerhead, right? Like you're not just like a person that just like collects sneakers. You have made a bit of a career out of this, man. Like you
yeah.
know you've become like an influencer in sneaker culture. What made you transition from okay, this is just something I like to do, it's fun, I got this at home, to I'm about to throw my fits on IG, to the point where
Yeah.
you're a brand ambassador, to the point where you host your own show? How did you get there?
Wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that was really organic, man,
Mm,
because everything that I did on IG or social media was all for me and just kind of having fun,
mm,
right?
yeah,
So back in the day, I would do a fit grid or something like that, and
yeah,
didn't have a whole lot of followers, but somebody
mm,
kind of comment on it, or a couple people like it, that kind of
yeah,
thing. And how I dress and like my perception of style is really just kind of how I feel for that day.
mm-hmm,
I don't necessarily follow any trends. I think I'm a hype beast in regards to like, sneakers and collabs and stuff like that. I
mm,
love collabs.
yeah,
Um, but I kind of really do everything just based on how I feel for the day.
yeah,
And once I got to a point to where people started paying more attention and kind of following me, giving me feedback, I'm like, okay, well, people like it, so
yeah,
I'll just continue to do it, because I was probably gonna like just kind of move on past that and just get back
mm,
to posting photos of buildings and
right, yeah,
just normal IG type,
yeah,
old school IG type
yeah,
stuff, right? So so it got to a point to where when I started buying more sneakers,
mm-hmm,
then I kind of felt compelled to post them, right?
yeah,
So I would do like an on DS everything as a hashtag for a little while,
mm, mm,
and I would always try to post my sneakers the first time that I wore them.
got you, got you,
And that kind of became a thing, and people were kind of paying attention to that.
yeah,
And then it got to a point to where I'm just kind of going through my closet looking at things, because I don't buy a whole lot of clothes, but
mm,
I just try to make stuff work with the sneaker,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
put stuff together based off of what I have, because I
yeah,
don't throw stuff away. You know,
right.
I still got clothes from high school, man.
I love it. Look, I wish I could still fit stuff from high school. That'd be a blessing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So so it got in, to that point, and I just started kind of, IG is a funny thing, and I think it was more organic back,
Mhm.
prior to 2000. It was a little bit more organic,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I just started kind of meeting people through
Mhm.
people. Like I would friend this person, and then next thing you
Mhm.
know, when somebody that's following them sees what I'm
Yeah.
doing, and it just
Yeah.
kind of started to build from there,
Yeah.
and started to get real good feedback. And
Mhm.
what's really funny? One of my frat brothers he's a physician in North
Mhm.
Carolina,
Mhm.
and how I really knew that folks were paying attention is that one of his patients was a high school student, and
Mm.
this may have been in maybe 4 years ago, something like that. And
Mhm.
he came into the office when she was there for an appointment, and he was
Mhm.
like, "Well, just kind of messing around with her. Hey, what are you doing? You on
Yeah.
that social media stuff?" And she
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at this guy on IG. He posts some
Mhm.
real dope pictures and stuff like that." And he was like, "Let me see that." And
Wow.
he picked up the phone and he looked at it, and he was like, "I know this cat."
That's my man. Yeah. Yeah. That's my brother. Yeah. Yo, that is cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, when he told me that story, man, it
Mhm.
really hit home that people, like what they like first off, but people
Yeah.
are paying attention to stuff that they feel like that's dope. So,
Yeah.
um, and I never really like put a barometer on my thing. Like it was
Mhm.
really just for me. If I
Yeah.
liked it, if it was cool for me, then I was good with it.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think what year, man. I guess it was like 3 years ago.
Mhm.
It was right after the pandemic when
Mhm.
there was a sneaker con in
Mhm.
Washington D.C.
Shout out
And
to Washington D.C. That's my hometown.
yeah, yeah.
Love the
So
sneaker con.
at a sneaker
Yeah.
con there, and
Mhm. Just went a
um,
couple weeks ago, actually.
oh, you went to that one?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so Greg came down and I met,
Mhm.
Nicole that does
Mhm.
Soul Wash, and
Yeah.
Mo was there for, that does the Unbox app, and a
Yep.
few more people, CJ,
Yeah.
all kind of folks were there, man. So I met a
Yeah.
whole bunch of people, and just really on the way home, I was thinking to myself, this is we got all these people coming from all these different parts of the country or different
Yeah.
states, and we're talking
Yeah.
sneakers and we're kind of having fun for just that weekend.
Yeah.
But what else can I learn about that person? Like,
Right.
what's going on in their hometown, that if I did visit their hometown, like, how can I find what's there?
Yeah.
And, I look at a bunch of shows and stuff like that that are on IG, and I
Mhm.
was thinking, I don't want to be like a show that critiques or like,
Mhm.
it's an
Mhm.
opinion based show for the most part. I
Yeah.
wanted to highlight the grassroots of the sneaker culture, because we see, the DJ Khaled's and folks like that hype stuff up, and then
Yeah.
it goes away. And
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh, but they don't drive the culture, man." It's folks like you
Yeah.
and I that drive the culture. Folks that
Absolutely. Yep.
that that I interview on the show that drive the culture. So I wanted to highlight the folks that no one would put on that type of pedestal, but us that are on the streets, we know that those people exist, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's kind of where the show derived from,
Yeah.
and I had been pushed by a couple folks.
Mhm.
I was on the show that Greg and Miller and Rick and now
Mhm.
Kiki that they do
Mhm.
on Wednesdays. I had
Yeah.
been a guest on that show before or whatever,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Yeah, you need to do your own thing." And I was like, "Nah, man. I thought about doing YouTube back in like 2018,
Yeah.
back before it was like a real big thing, and
Yeah.
I didn't want the headache, man. I didn't want to put the work into it and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So
Mm.
I never really got behind it. But with those thoughts coming from DC, and
Mhm.
with that seed had been planted, during some of those conversations, I just
Yeah.
said, well, let me just try it,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
if it doesn't work, then I'll just put it down and keep moving.
Right. Why not? Right.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
Nicole from Soul Wash was the first
Mhm.
guest,
Shouts out
and
to Nicole. Yeah.
absolutely, man, love her.
Yeah.
And it was, it was a little bit rough out of the gate, because it was the first
Yeah.
time. I
Yeah.
wasn't familiar with IG Live and like the buttons and
Yeah. Yeah.
how to I had archived the first videos and I couldn't
Yeah.
find it.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
a calamity of errors, man. But
Yeah.
found it, got it all back together, and it just kind of started to build from there.
Mhm.
And as I was out and about, kind of talking to people, I would just ask, "Hey, you want to be a part
Yeah.
of the show?" And
Yeah.
then also, it's based, like, my guest list is based off of um, folks that I follow that I feel
Mm.
like are helping the culture grow and sustain itself.
Got it. Got it.
So I want to make sure that I have people that are grassroots, and every once in a while,
Yeah.
there's been a big name or two that's been on there,
Mhm.
um, but they're part of it too. Like, if they're
Yeah.
helping the culture move forward, then for me, they're still a part of the grassroots, even though
Yeah.
they may be in a higher status in regards to how the pecking order of the culture.
Right.
Um, so that's the state specific show, man.
Yeah.
We just wrapped season 5,
Mhm.
and that was episode 75, which
Nice.
really blows my mind, man.
Right.
That
Yeah.
5 seasons, 75 episodes have
Yeah.
passed that we've done
Yeah.
that show. Yeah.
Awesome, man. It's a great show. I watched it quite a few times. I do want to say shouts out to Nicole, because I love that, like, the genesis of this comes from DC.
Yep.
I'm here in DC right now. I'm all about DC. People, kind of look at me as a DC sneaker guy, and I love that. You know what I mean? And it's funny that DC keeps coming up in like the past 4 or 5 shows I've done. for some reason DC keeps coming up, and to me that's like an omen, right? It's like it's a good sign. But no,
Absolutely.
I love her because she's like an orchestrator. You know what I mean? Every time I'm
Yeah.
around her, she's introducing me to people, or you should do this, you should do that. And I love people like that because it's like you're not just thinking about yourself, because here you are, right? And now we've connected kind of through her.
Yep.
It's like 6 degrees of separation, and I think that's really cool. And I do like that your show really focuses on the people that drive the culture. I'm glad you said that because
Mm-hmm.
it's not, I had my first season of this show. I was working with a network. Shouts out to them. They're not the problem or anything like that. But I really, reached out to a lot of people to come on the show, and I was kind of, trying to go big per se, right? Like, yo, let me try to
Mm-hmm.
get this person, get that person, and then I found
Yeah.
myself doing a lot of shows that were like, here's what's wrong with sneaker culture today. Here's what's wrong with this sneaker. Here's what's wrong with that sneaker. Or this is like, a lot of like unnecessary negativity for like sneakers.
Yeah.
And I kind of got burnt out. I was like, this is, I'm a 40 at the time 40-year-old man. I'm married with kids. Like, this is boring. Like, I don't want to talk about like, drama and sneaker culture. You know what I mean? So it's like I had to really sit back, look at the show, get inspired. And I'm not just saying this, bro. Get inspired by shows like yours and other
Mm.
shows that's
Wow.
like, you know what? There's a bunch of people out here that just love the culture and love things that's adjacent to the culture. They may
Mm.
love hip hop more than they love sneaker culture. They may love clothes more than they love sneaker culture, but they still kind of play in this playground. Let's talk to those people. Let's use this show as a inspiration, as a thing to
Yep.
make people, in a really negative time, a little bit of a little slither of positivity. And again, when I see Stay Specific and it pops up on my feed, I'm like, yo, that's something I can watch that's positive. When one of your picks pops up, right? And again, it's like part of your content. It's
Mm-hmm.
positive. It's motivational. It's like, yo,
Wow.
okay, he got his fit off. Oh, that's inspiration. I could wear those with that. That's what's up. So people are watching, bro, and you're
Wow.
doing dope things. And I say that from the heart, man. Like, this is a real thing, and that's why I really wanted to get
Thank
you
you.
on the show, brother. Seriously.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate that, man. That means a lot.
No problem, man. And good things come to good people, man. So let's talk about the unboxing app. Like, you're a brand ambassador. A lot of people get into
Yeah.
this business. I feel like a lot of people get into this hoping they can get, I'm gonna get a brand deal, or I'm gonna get Nike to send me free stuff, this, that, another. Talk to me about how you got down with the unboxing app and how you became a brand ambassador for them.
Okay. Okay. Dope. Yeah. So when the app first came out,
Mm,
um, I got involved with it kind of in the stages of being. It's amazing that the word kind of
mm,
escapes me right now. It's
mm.
the beta, like during the
I
beta
got
test stage, right?
you. Yeah, yeah.
Um, so shout out to Greg, who's
Mm-hmm,
co-host on the State Specific Show.
mm-hmm.
Greg and Mo, who's one of the co-owners of Unbox, they had known each other for a long time. They're both from Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Mo now lives there in DC.
Okay.
Um, so, well, I think he's kind of on the outskirts near Virginia, but
The
DMV.
DMV word.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I kind of inadvertently started to have more conversations with Mo, like
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes, as I found things within that app that, like, hey,
Yeah,
what about this? I'm trying to
yeah,
add this shoe, that kind of thing.
yeah.
And then, lo and behold, because I had a relationship with Greg, he was like, yeah, I know Mo. I go to
Mm-hmm.
meetups in DC all the time, and he's from
Yeah.
Buffalo, and we, know each other from, kind of back then. So,
Mhm.
um, when I came to DC for that SneakerCon was the
Yeah,
very first time that I had met him, even though we
yeah,
had communicated several times,
right,
throughout me being kind of a part of that beta test for the
right,
Unbox app.
right.
So as we leave DC, and I'm talking about the show, he's one of the
Mm-hmm.
people that I have in mind that, hey, I got to have him on the show because of what he's doing. I like to support people. Like, that's the thing
Yeah,
that I do the most. I love to support people. So trying to support the app, want to make sure
yeah.
that, we highlight it.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got to a point to where he was coming up with the ambassador program,
Mm-hmm.
we were just kind of having a general conversation,
Yeah.
and he pretty much identified, like, hey, you are, or you have, just without being prompted, try to support the app. You use it,
Mm-hmm.
you highlight it, you share it
Yeah.
with people. And that's the type of person that I want to have on board when I start this ambassador program. Is people
Mm,
that have supported the app without anybody ever asking them to, right?
right. Right.
So, and for that app, like I was literally using it every day.
Yeah.
I did track my wears. Every time I got a new sneaker, I would put it in there.
Yeah.
My kids were using it.
Mm,
It was one of those type of things where it was just a part of my daily, right?
yeah. Yeah.
So we got to the point where we started talking about the ambassador program,
Mm,
and I just kind of shared some of my ideas, some of the things that I thought that would be um, places and things that he could focus on, because I still try to connect with a certain type of people within
mm,
the culture, right? So
mm,
most people that support me, most people that I support, they're all people that are genuinely out here just trying to have fun. Like
yeah. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
there are no strings attached.
Yeah.
There's no like, hey, I want to use you so I can get to this spot or anything like that. It's
Right. Right.
really all people that are trying to help each other. So he knew I was connected that way with a lot of
Yeah.
good folks, and that if I promoted the app, people would at least give it a look. Now, everybody's not going to, feel like it's a part of what they want to do, but the folks
Right.
that genuinely follow me because of the support they give me, they will at least take a look
Mm,
at it, in which they
yeah.
have. So,
Yeah.
and that's so it was still organic. Like everything
Mm,
that I do in the culture, man, I try to keep it
mhm.
organic. So it was organic, and based off the conversations that we had in DC, because
Mm,
Nicole, being the person that Nicole is, she had hooked us
mhm.
up to go to Atmos. There was kind of
Mhm.
like this after event after SneakerCon
Yep.
where like the Seth Fowlers, the
Yeah.
Abduls, the
Yeah.
all the folks, like the who's who of
Yeah.
who was in DC for SneakerCon. Everybody was there,
Yep.
and Mo was one of the people that were there, and I had kind of talked to him
Yeah.
then, but he kind of saw how I moved and how I went about doing my thing, and he
Yeah.
felt like I was a good fit into what he was trying to do. So it kind of just really simply happened,
Yeah.
from that. It was super organic.
Yeah.
The Unbox app is something that I use, right? It's not
Yeah.
something that I'm like, I don't get paid or anything like that. It's really,
Right.
I want them to succeed because I really truly believe in the
Mm.
product.
I love that. I love
Hmm.
that, man. I love all of that, bro. Again, it's funny that you bring up that sneaker con because I know the sneaker con you're talking about now. Because
Yeah.
I was supposed to go to the Atmos event at the time. I think my wife was pregnant.
Okay.
I think I might be wrong. Either way, I knew I couldn't go because it was like family obligations. You know what I mean? I wasn't moving around a lot, but it's just funny because we probably would have had a real conversation at Atmos. I remember that whole thing, the
Absolutely.
Atmos after party and all that, man. And again, I just really dig that you're like trying to connect like authentic and real people within the culture. I think that's how
Hmm.
the culture survives, right? If it's on
Yep.
a downturn with, and I imagine it's a matter of opinion, some people feel like it's in a bit of a downturn. Some people probably don't feel that way. But if you feel that way, I think the way to salvage it and keep it going is to connect with
Hmm.
genuine people that really truly care about it and it's communal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sneakers are communal. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this, I see your sneaks and I'm like, yo, what are those? Word up.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk. We might be exchanging business cards. We may actually, it sounds like that sneaker con in many ways changed your life, right? You met
Oh
people
yeah.
that are, big things came from that sneaker con, right? And
Absolutely.
so that's the really dope thing, man. Um, I'm just into what you're doing, bro. I really am, man. I'm happy to have you on, bro, because you do, again, you just, to me, you represent what sneaker culture is and what it truly can be. You know what I
Wow.
mean? I mean
Wow.
that, brother. I mean that.
Wow.
I mean that because there's a lot of like, no disrespect to what anybody's doing. I do unboxings and stuff like that too. But it is like, sneaker culture and hip hop culture to an extent is viewed very commercial now. It's very like,
Hmm.
I bought this thing. If you have the money to buy this, you can fit in. And
Right.
obviously you have to spend money to do this, right? But
Absolutely.
I think that the reason why a lot of us fell in love with it is more for stories, more
Hmm.
for moments, more for the community piece, and also the look fly, obviously, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's not but and I like people that are representing that. And again, I think that's what it was, and I think that's what it can be again,
Right.
on a more commercial and a larger standpoint. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
totally agree with that, 100%, man. And you know, I do sometimes that whole nostalgia takes me back, right, to where
Yeah.
I was talking about the Jordache and the 5111s,
Yeah.
5411s, and
Yeah. Yeah.
like the British Knights. Like for
Yeah.
me, that era was just this living, breathing
Yeah.
style. Being yourself.
Yeah.
Being an individual and not following trends and that kind of stuff. Like that for me is like what I try to live out right now,
Yeah.
because I don't, obviously a lot of us are buying some of the same sneakers, so we're going to have some of the same stuff on, but I
Yeah.
don't try to do it like somebody else is doing it. And
Right.
then also, like I said, I try to look for those people to where I can support.
Mhm.
And if I can support them, and they might not even know that I'm supporting them, but I'm sharing their stuff. I'm talking about them to my friends. I'm making sure that the spotlight, from whatever little spotlight I can put on them, that
Mhm.
I put on them, because I want people to succeed, right? I
Yeah.
want people to be able to follow their dreams
Yeah.
and to live out their dreams, because a lot of people don't get a chance to live out their dreams.
Mm.
Um, my generation got sold the bill of goods of, graduate high school, go to college, get married, have
Mhm.
a family, retire and die.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, um, when the millennials came along,
Mhm.
they were of the mindset of, no, I'm a brand. I'm
Mhm.
gonna make this thing work. I might work for this company 3 to 5 years. I'm gonna take what
Yeah.
I learned. I'm gonna go off and I'm
Yeah.
gonna do this other stuff.
Yeah.
And they were seen as not being loyal, but
Yeah.
they were actually being loyal to themselves and true to
Mhm.
themselves. And when I look back on it, I have to like, kind of salute them,
Mm.
because their eyes are wide open.
Yeah.
It was like, why should I be beholden to this company or
Yeah.
to this whatever that's really just going to juice me? And once they get all the juice out, they're just going to throw me away anyway. So
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
me get what's mine. So
Yep.
so what I try to do, man, is I try to support people that dream,
Mhm.
that take action, to fulfill their dreams and that are positive.
Yeah.
Um, we were talking about earlier about how the culture had gotten to the point where we're looking at, like, this person is not doing that, or this is
Yeah.
ugly, or this is whatever. Like, I
Yeah.
don't get involved with none of that, man.
Yep.
Like, people put qualifiers on what a sneakerhead is.
Yep.
Like, if you're doing, something that you love, if you are not bringing negativity to it, if you're enjoying it, to me, you're a sneakerhead. Like, you're doing it how you want to. You're being a sneakerhead how you want to be a sneakerhead, but
Yeah.
because you wasn't standing in line with me back in 1998, or if you weren't doing, like, that doesn't make you a sneakerhead, man. That just means you stood in line for 3 hours and didn't get the sneaker that you
That's it, brother. That's it, man. That's
wanted.
it. That's it, bro.
So
Yeah.
and then the other part of it is that is never going to happen again.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
there's some first come first serve type stuff, but
Yeah.
how can I judge a person now based off something that happened 20 years ago? Like,
Right.
that 20-year ago thing is not going to recreate itself. Like, that's
Mm-mm.
gone. So
Yeah.
now the sneaker culture is different.
Yeah.
So quite honestly, the people that want to gatekeep and say, well, you can't be a sneakerhead because you're doing it this way,
Mhm.
you're those people really don't fit into the current culture, because they want to take it back to 20 years ago, and 20
Yep.
years ago doesn't exist anymore. That's just a
Yep.
memory, right?
Yep.
So, I try to not put any qualifiers on things, man. I try
Mhm.
not to judge people. I just try to, like, float in positive energy, like, give positive energy, be in places that have positive energy,
Yeah.
and watch people follow their dreams, man. And hopefully they'll get there.
There it is, man. That's a perfect place to end it, brother. Thank you so much. Let them know where they can follow you, and let them know when they can check out the show.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So my name is Gabriel Fortson. So basically, all of my handles on across all social media is at Gabriel Fortson. Um, the state specific show is a show that is an hour long. We air it on Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Mhm.
And it's a positive show that talks about the grassroots of the sneaker culture. It's a situation where, like, if you travel to Australia, you travel to New York, and we've interviewed people from there, you're going to know some of the boutiques that are there, some of the stores, some of the things that are popping off and happening in those cities. So that show is designed to kind of be that type of thing for you. And outside of that, man, that's really it. I just, I'm out here just trying to make sure that I kind of stay in my lane, and hopefully we can make the culture move forward.
There it is, brother. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope to have you on again.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate this. This was an honor for sure.
No problem. Gabriel Fortson, host of the State Specific Show. Man, can't wait for season 6. Can't wait to see who he has on deck for that one, man. Go check him out. Follow him on all his socials and all of that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the support. MSR_Adam, MSR_Adam. That's my social media. Follow me, MSR_Adam. You can find my TikTok there. But if you want to just go straight to TikTok, it's the What Are Those Pod on TikTok. The What Are Those Pod on TikTok. If you want to contact me, you can contact me at the What Are Those Pod at Gmail, the What Are Those Pod at Gmail. And remember to subscribe to the channel and do all of those things. All right. Remember to mind your mental health. Okay. Mind your mental health. Football season's here. If you like football, go ahead and watch some games. Get outside. The fall season is here. It's about to be nice, man. That jacket weather coming up soon. Trust me. Do it. And if you if you haven't, take a vacation. Do something. Mind your mental health. Read a book. Read a self-help book. Watch a cool YouTube channel. Do whatever you need to do, man, to calm yourself and to bring peace into your life. All right. Mind your mental health. Mind your physical health. Get outside. Take a jog. Exercise. Eat right. Do those things that you need to do, because I want you here for the long haul, especially my black men. Not that black men are more important, anything like that. It's just that sometimes we as black men, we don't take care of ourselves. You know what I'm saying. This isn't breaking news. We got to take care of ourselves. We got to be really, really, really mindful about our health. So mind your physical health, mind your mental health. And if you do those 2 things, you'll never forget to be great. All right? I'm up out of here. Peace.